Today we're going to do a little bit of talking about the sacred mirror and jumping from different planes of existence. So I've drawn out here, let me just give a little bit of context to this if you've never seen me draw this. This axis, this y-axis, is frequency. And when I say frequency, I'm typically talking about hertz frequency, but I'm also looking at this as a rising in density. So like fifth, dimension, fourth dimension, but also fourth density, fifth dimension or density. So we can put all these types of density, dimension, hertz, aspects of self. So we could also look at your energy centers. Could be 1, 2, 3. This is 4. I have this listed as 5. We'll shift that to 6. So when we're looking at this, we're rising up into our energy centers, into density, and all these different words I just said. Whereas this, the x-axis, could be seen as time or timelines. And as we evolve into these higher densities, into these higher realizations of who we really are as an eternal being, it can also be seen as parallel nows. So where this is this is one of us at one version of a now, this is here a now and another now. So these are 3 parallel nows. And when we start to understand, so if we start to understand this map, I mainly want to be here. This is the 4th energy center, the 4th density, the 4th dimension, the astral plane. It's the maturity of our emotions. And it is at the now. So it's at a now, and it's at this very sacred gateway as these are the higher realms, like so if we're looking at the heavenly states, and the lower 3D is like our gross matter, our earthly state. And so I like to be right there in the middle. And when I can be super present right here in the middle, in the now, sitting at my heart as my new grounding point, really. So whereas we used to, or at least a lot of us, as we were ascending, would have found like a really yummy spot to be grounded in the density of earth and the density of gross matter. As you start to ascend, it's actually for me, it felt more light to not have a lot of belongings, to be able to call at will gross matter in place. Like if I want to go, have like a year on an island, then I want to manifest a beautiful yurt, or not yurt, geodesic dome to be living in. But I'm not going to carry it around with me, right? I want to be able to easily maneuver by not being so attached to it, to the gross matter. So the new kind of grounding, as I started in like my 25, the grounding that started to happen when I would let go of all my belongings and travel a lot, my new grounding started to be at this 4th energy center. And literally I felt like I was hovering, and Spirit would tell me, you're hovering for a while. Like I hovered for a long time. And I would surf the gross matter. I would surf the lower planes. I could easily materialize something, but I wasn't attached to it. And then eventually we've got, this type of typical grounding where I taught yoga for years, and I was tell people to, grow their roots into the earth. And then like I just shared it with you, I started to lift to a new type of grounding point or centering point into the heart. Then it started shifting into be able to ground throughout planes of existences, to be everywhere at once, to be omnipresent, to be aware that I'm not just grounded at the heart or grounded any of these energy centers, because we essentially can actually ground at different densities. You could ask right now, where am I grounded? And it might tell you you're grounded above your head. I am right now, they said. So you got your solar plexus. Let's use that as a practice right now. Ask, where are you grounded along this central column? You might get like a immediate, your attention may draw to somewhere. Then you could confirm, is it right here? So maybe just point, everybody, where do you feel like you're grounded at? So third eye, heart. Where was your heart? Solar plexus, high heart. And that also gave me the information that that's how fast or slow I was vibrating. Not that they're bad or good. It's just that could tell me that I was vibrating pretty high at the third eye, or that my attention, or not attention, but my focus and the gravitational pull of where my focus is. Most of my energy is coming out of this energy, this door hole, the sixth energy center for summer. That can give you a lot of like, wow, some new things to look at. Like, where am I right now? Now, if someone shared with something to you that pulled you down lower, which everybody's always affecting us, you may all of a sudden feel like a shift where you were here, but now you're here. So that's, we start to understand like, wow, where is the energy spiraling out majority? Now, obviously it's coming out everywhere because here we are, we're having this full experience. But when I say this centering point, grounding point, or the super concentrated energy, where is it mainly coming? And that's where your focus goes. So, okay. And then the third state, like I was saying, is where you get to start to experience being omnipresent and grounding throughout the whole plane of existence. And it may be that, you're grounded in the plane of existence here, where you're really feeling like it's a very astral plane day and you're really conscious, super conscious that it's a very astral plane day. And when I have an astral plane day, I feel like it's a malleable day, it seems very funny to look out in the field of people and they look like they're dreaming. They look like, when you're in a dream and things are so far-fetched, somebody's riding a purple donkey and, literally in your day, like someone's got a purple donkey out there and you're like, what is going on? We're definitely in the astral plane today. The vibration for the majority of the collective is at that fourth density. And where we're heading, or where we're at for the collective, is to be in these higher densities. And when that happens, or usually what precedes that, is a lot of conspiracy theories get shown, or where we're at in the quantum mechanics, or different types of quantum field discoveries. Now people's fixed points of view are now a little bit more, wavy. They're a little bit more allowing for the purple donkey to show up in front of them, not just in the dream, but in the waking dream when they get up. So you could be occupying and being really aware of your omnipresent state in the one density, but you also can get really big. This happens a lot when we're meditating, where you're aware of every aspect, every plane, and you feel pretty like you have access to all of them with your awareness, because you are awareness itself. So now that I got that to you, what they were showing me is to talk about when you have mastered a position, meaning you can now see the sacred mirror of everybody and everything. So I want you to ask right now, meaning, how are we a sacred mirror for each other right now? And typically our mirrors of, how am I projecting this right now? If everything is happening through me, for me, by me, how is this scene right here, right now, from some earlier conception point, showing me a mirror of an imprint from what I have literally stored in my subconscious mind? I'll give you an example. So do you want me to talk about which one it is for me right now? Yes. So what is this sacred mirror for me right now? Your heart's doorway is open to show you a place where you have sat in council with these beings. So that seems to me almost like futuresque, but it can also be, again, transcending time into a higher state where all of us have sat together in high council. Now I could go deeper and ask, is there another, core imprint? Not yet. They want me to do it for my practice. So I want you, and one of my examples I was thinking might come up is like you with a set of friends, from your teenage years, you in a sacred circle in a past life. These are all the things that may come up when we tune in a minute. Like, how is this moment something that's literally been imprinted in our field, and we're literally having it happen again because everything is always being projected out in front of you from these memorized subconscious programs and imprints. So we're going to go in right now. Does this assignment make sense for you to ask, what is your sacred mirror of this moment in time? Can you handle asking yourself that? So you're going to ask your consciousness. So ask consciousness at large, what does this scene right now, where I'm at, what is it? Where did it begin? Let's go ahead and anybody want to share what you got?
I got past life on Venus, and it was all of us.
Okay.
In the
Yeah.
circle like this.
Anything else about that?
I didn't go deeper.
Okay, cool. Anybody else?
Mine was to come together in a group, but always have a sense of self, to know how to be a part of a community, but always stay true to my being.
Okay, awesome.
I would say mine flows with that. I was fire dancing, like a communion around a fire, like dancing, manifesting.
Powerful. We brought the fire out, the element. Anyone else want to share theirs?
Mine was similar to that, but in a cave around a fire with, yeah,
Nice.
it felt very tribal.
Yeah.
You kept shaking your head. You didn't.
I got nothing. I tried twice and I got nothing. No answers.
Okay. Awesome. So ask one more question for those of us who got something, even if you didn't, we'll go ahead and ask this. Ask your consciousness, was yours the same of anybody's here?
What do you mean?
Like the same scene was showing itself.
I got yes too, and it was connected with the cave and the fire, like that. It all came. We were all there.
Uh-huh. I didn't share mine. What'd you get?
I got a yes.
Okay. Do you know who? Which ones?
It's a few.
Okay, the few. It seems like the few.
Yeah.
Okay. And mine it was a past life where we were in Venus and we were collapsing time. We were like sharing about time collapse.
Yeah.
And I was with Sibel.
Yeah.
But I hadn't shared mine yet, so she got to know. So, right? Okay, so now we're seeing like this is the dance of every now moment. Every now moment. I want to say, is that true, Source, that it's ever a new moment?
Oh, I'm sorry. I have to be.
Yeah.
Sorry. I remember. It's just because it came back to me. I remember the first time I came here, I had a dream. And the day before, you had told me about, we were in a council, and it was something with like, there's colors, right? The aura, and it was like a group like this. I'm getting like chills.
Yeah, me too.
And it was like circles and colors, right? And like there was something about like we were coming together to like clear the auras or stuff. And then I came the next day, and you're like, I met you last night, and I was like, I met you
In the dream, we met each other. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
It was like a deja vu.
Yeah, and that's important because that's what I was just asking Source. I said, is there really ever new moments? I was going to say, most time we're just projecting old memorized material moments again and again and again. And it's something wrong with that. It's just you're usually going off of recycle of imprints. So if this is, first density, second, third, 3D, then these are like your cast of characters. If this is like your earlier formation of imprints, typically pre 7 years old, is around survival, housing, how to get tribal, how to get along, on the earth of the first density, how to eat together. And so this is, more of like if we're looking at the second dimension or second density energy center, it's like how you're getting along with others, your family, your childhood friendships. Then you start to get into power, into the work. And so this is usually the cast of characters that you set up imprints inside your subconscious mind to keep having these experiences together. And when you get closer, I wanted to be able to draw like the Vestica Pisces, the two, then you're like in this sacred dance, sacred mirror, sacred relationships. And it doesn't always have to be your partner. It literally could just be all of a sudden you're in a room with two and you realize that you truly are just like cosmically mirroring each other, like hard and soft, huge, I should say. And it's there we go, hard, soft, huge. Yeah. So, you're dancing together and you're really seeing self. All of this is showing you self. So all is self. All is being projected by you, through you, for you. And so as you start to really master it, you get closer to right here. So usually there's like just a few people around you. Is that making sense? Mm-hmm. So I bring this up because I was feeling, do you want me to share it like this? Yeah. I was feeling just very like, once you get to this door hole of the one with the two, it starts feeling very boring. And like, what else? I'm like, where are they at? And what else? What do we got to do here? It's like I'm kind of bored with the cast of character team imprints. And what happens is I will practice a lot daily, morning and night typically, projecting the beautiful reality with things, affirmations like I love my life. I love everything about me. Everybody loves everything about me. I'm stating these affirmations as well as visualizing light. I'm moving up my energy column and seeing orbs of light as I go all the way up. And when I do that consistently, it's a really beautiful scene with the cast of characters. It's super fun. But if I take a stop or a pause, then I can see behind that beautiful projection that I've memorized of anything that's in the lower field, usually of what the others have going on in their life. So where they're the other in the cast of characters, the others, if you're not like keeping an eye on how you're going to experience this reality and building it out in reality creation, when you take pauses, something wrong with it. You start to see pardon my French, the shit show of like what still is left in the others' memorized material of their subconscious mind, and what is still, obviously, because it's all self, left in your subconscious mind that is still in the recesses. We would call that the unconscious, that we haven't got to deal with yet, or we just haven't figured out, because it's such one day you could have like 1 billion thoughts. That's creating realities. So in early childhood, pre-7 years old, how many thoughts did you think? How many factors were involved? How many cast of characters were involved? That, that's a lot of memorized material that, gosh, it takes a daily practice. It takes a lifetime to really master up your central channel, and you end up sitting in a cave alone. So I was asking Source, I was like, okay, what else? And because of my past couple of weeks of high assignment from Source Consciousness has been to sit deeper in meditation and be aware of awareness, to be aware of the omnipresent space that I am. This 1% of my soul essence literally is sitting inside the body, literally making the body do this. Whereas 99% of the presence that you be, your bigger self, your bigger spacious being, is this whole thing. It's everything you see around you. This is all you. So I was asking Source, okay, so I'm sitting in awareness deeper, being aware of the awareness. This is all awareness. So when you close your eyes and everything goes black, or maybe if there's some light show, there you are. You're beyond form. You're the formless form. And to jump even back behind that and to be aware of that awareness, that's what the high request from Source Intelligence has been the past few weeks. Like, just sit deeper in it. So when I asked this morning about the little bit of boredom, I'm like, okay, what else? And it said, you need to sit deeper in that so that you can get through a wormhole to get to a whole nother packet of memorized material that you've left for yourself. And Venus, they're telling me right now. We're in this Venus, so here we are up here. So literally, if I close my eyes, and we do the ascended breath today, we're squeezing up our central channel, getting to the pineal gland, and we're holding our breath up there to activate piezo crystals, the little rhomboid crystals in your pineal gland. And then we're going to exhale, and we're going to let all of our energy literally come out the pineal gland. And it's going to wormhole to these higher probabilities. So that's, a definite daily high practice I would suggest for everybody is to like see your best life, lay in bed, like get blissed out, and then like let it spiral out. And then you're occupying this higher field. Let's say this is 6th density or 5th density. We got 2 hand raising. Go ahead.
So the planet Venus just went into Taurus today, which is like its natural ruler. And so that is a new packet of information.
Yes.
Or maybe we did burst through the wormhole or something.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
Yeah.
Were you going to say something? Say
I
it.
forgot.
Anybody else? Maybe a little.
You know what? No. When we release through the wormhole, is that considered like gamma waves coming from the pineal gland that will push out into the ether and bring back the information that is needed for us to understand and communicate?
So gamma wave, when you're saying that, is just the frequency of the brain state. When we get past delta, we go to epsilon, or actually, let me back up. We go to delta, gamma, hyper gamma, and then lambda, then epsilon. So you're speaking to gamma as like a high frequency. And when we're let me draw this out. So again, we're talking about brain hertz, brain waves. When you are looking at, we got beta, alpha, theta, delta, gamma, hyper gamma, and then lambda. And epsilon actually is down here. It's 0 hertz to 0.14. Up here, it starts to go. This is our waking state, beta. Then we go alpha. It's like you start like getting really focused, kind of daydreaming. Yeah. Then we go theta. We start getting really kind of in that meditative state. Delta, deep sleep. Then it shifts from slow to fast again. Super fast. These are 3 super fast. This is 100 to 200 hertz. I can't remember those. But when we start getting theta and above, basically, you're getting into being more of this omnipresent plane of existent space holder. So gamma is when it's like you get blissed out, you're in gamma. When it almost seems like everything's rushing, but you're going really slow, you're in gamma. When you're just like synchronicity after synchronicity, you're usually in gamma. And you're occupying the whole field. So yes, when you're squeezing the spinal fluid up, holding it up to the pineal, and then you wormhole out the pineal, all your energy, your essence, your soul essence, into this new vision, this new blueprint. Yeah, it's like you're taking that high vibration, we could say gamma, towards that new occupancy, which would be your blueprint that you're projecting into. So you're time traveling. But what made you say gamma?
It's a mental map to where I want to go, I guess. And I like being in gamma a lot because I'm able to produce what I want and manifest the truth for me.
Great. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Neat. Anything else before I keep going?
You know, it was interesting when you were talking.
Essentially, it is a vortex that moves out of golden mean spiral, phi ratio. Yeah, at the pineal gland.
Mental map.
I want to bring something else in. Hold on, source, you may bring that in. Not yet. Okay. Which is why there's no wrong turn. It's so great. Like, even if you or I or we, they go down low, to be able to flip it is such a massive treasure lift. Because if we're digging into some distortion or some old memory or whatever's going on, and we dig that up, like, there it is. Now let's literally use that massive amount of essence, plasma, photonic light that was stored in those memories or whatever is going on in the person's life, to lift it and to get it up. But usually it will take an upgraded perspective or a greater understanding so that they can actually take that energy and have it go into a higher trajectory. So this
Acceptance. Acceptance. They have to accept it. The different.
Right? Accept it, understand it.
Yeah.
And again, understand where it came from. What's the conception point? Where's the original imprint? How did this even arrive here right now? That's the sacred mirror. If you can, so I've, yesterday I had another one. Gosh, there's been so many. Visceral sacred mirror. And it's like, there's no blaming. It is all self. And if you can literally see what's happening right there and find that conception point. Who, what, when, where, why? What is going on here right now? Where is this really coming from? How did I memorize this? Oh, there it is. And it may have layers of, it may be like a memory. It may be something you said, the movie you watched. I promise you, if you look at everything you watch on the television, you will find it the next day, project out. And it can be a key of an awesome excavation of an energy that you needed to dig up. So it's not bad. Like, I can see every single movie I ever watch in all directions, like I just said. It's the past, it's the future, the next day. It literally projects itself out and plays itself out. And it was necessary because I'm super conscious, I can see, oh my gosh, that's why all these things are happening. So that's where the boredom comes in. Because once you start to see the game, you're like, what am I here for?
Yeah.
And that's what I was with Source this morning, like meditation, like, well, come on. And I was like, so they, Source said, well, you need to get through that wormhole and sit long enough, deep enough, so you can actually occupy the treasure, or the upgraded reality that you have set up for yourself. So I was like, well, okay, bring me the crew, the playmates who have enough wisdom and clarity on all this that we can actually just come together and experience, Venus, love.
Here we are.
And here we are. Like, literally, I can see today's meditation produces you all. You're so solid in your presence, but liquid, Okay. So we got that. The other thing I wanted to bring up, this is a vibrational watch, by the way. I don't wear a watch. I haven't worn one in years. These are the high vibe watches that we have here now. And basically you can tap in the vibrational frequency that you are looking for. I have right now, it's eye support. And it will play in your left arm and go through your field. The vibrations.
Is it frequencies?
Yep, it's frequencies set up. And it's not Wi-Fi. You have to plug it in and get it charged up. But I was looking at the time. Okay, 1:37. The other thing I wanted to bring up that I haven't really dove deep into yet, but I plan to, is the Christ code spiral. That's looking at the spiral that is a little bit wider than the golden mean spiral, which is a spiral, KRYST, that is a 1-to-2 ratio. So it does not, it's ever expanding. It does not die. Whereas the Fibonacci or the golden mean spiral it recycles itself, right? You got a tree that grows up and then it collapses and it dies. You have a spiral that comes, it gets so big and then it finally explodes or implodes and then it starts to re-spiral again. And that's what we are experiencing in this electromagnetic field, is the Fibonacci or the golden mean spiral. They're slightly different, but they're slightly a hair number off, but we can kind of pair them together. And that's, again, just the spiral, the natural growth of us, of every cell, of every tree, is moving up towards the light as well as coming down. That's the definition of gravity. So the phi, 1.618 times Planck, 10 times negative 36, is gravity. It's that golden mean spiral coming down. When we look at the Christ, I don't know the number exactly, but it's a 1-to-2 ratio. The Christ spiral, it's like if this was the golden mean, it's a little bit wider. And so it's ever expanding. There's no death. And so it's getting out of possibly what we're experiencing in the lower world we find ourselves in. So I'm going to be looking at deeper at that. Do you want me to talk anything else about that? No, I just wanted to give you that key. I have everyone's number here, but I will text Summer as well. Yeah. The picture. And so maybe you could play with that some more, and maybe that'll be more what we go into next week. Okay, so I know that Spirit was adamant that we again today do more breath work, accentuate all the energy centers, bless the energy centers, tell them how much we love them, and do the ascended breath to squeeze all the energy up our central channel, like we've been talking about, get those rhomboid crystals vibrating, and they're piezoelectric, so they fire electricity, which then can go ahead and help us get through a wormhole. I'm going to add the wormhole and the guided meditation to the highest trajectory. When we're doing the first part of the breath work, it's a 2 inhale and a 1 exhale. So, and this is going to really get a lot of oxygen in, and we're going to utilize that fast rhythmic breath. You might have like your hands or fingers get tingly, but we want to help it to get any of these density places vibrating faster in the body. When we're doing the blessing of the energy centers, we're literally going to, I hope that you can, visualize each orb of light of the energy centers just totally glowing and giving such gratitude to them for their perfection. And then last, the third one, I always look at the messages, lift gate service. We're lifting the gate.
Lifting
and
it's
Carrie,
okay.
Right? Carrie's on there, her name.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Lifting to get through a new gate.
Yes.
Which was funny because you put that there, and I just remember somebody wants us to build a labyrinth for them.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Break out of the boredom.
And let's talk about that.
Yeah. Tampa, they want us to build a labyrinth on their land because I told them about the other labyrinth.
Awesome.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
That is part of it. Exactly what all of us is. Yeah. It's about getting us out of the boredom and getting some more ley line and grid work assignments.
Yeah, let's freaking get out there and do something together.
Yeah.
And somebody mentioned this Unity Labyrinth to me recently.
Yeah, it's pretty popular.
They were like, "Oh yeah, I walked over there."
Yeah, so let's put together some more of that assignment. Maybe we'll add that in as well to see if we can see anything else. Oh, so the third breath work, the ascended breath work, you're going to inhale, squeeze your root. Let's practice that. Squeeze your root, your belly button, and lift your rib cage up, your lower rib cage muscles. So it's inhale, root, squeeze the belly button in, and squeeze and lift up. And then you're going to take a second breath up through your mouth. And you'll be holding it. You'll take your eye gaze up, and then you'll exhale out. Good. So even though I may go faster or slower than what you're used to, just trust your own flow. But I will say, like, we're going to do all the breath work, sit up, and then you can lay back if you're going to lay back. You're not in a lay back chair. You're not in a lay back chair, but you can sit up. You don't have to be laying back. You can lay on the floor if you want. Okay. And the reason, well, since she's going to the restroom, the reason we're squeezing these first 3 energy center muscles is because we want to squeeze out any dormant energy out of your kidneys, your ovaries, your testicles, and your adrenals. Because in those endocrine glands, that's where a lot of these primordial patterns of the old imprints are just recycling themselves. And it's like, because you can reprogram this, but because most people haven't reprogrammed their eating and their social connections, overeating, and just consumption at large of gross matter, most people are just like, you're just kind of staying down here, and which is a natural recycle of you exiting out the door hole energy center. So this is your first energy center. If you're, looking at what's gross matter and taking that, the only thing it's real, you're hanging out with people that are just talking about gross matter, you're with gross matter, eating gross matter, like you're pretty much just having a recycle scenery of an old imprint from early childhood most of the time, until we get up here with our grid work assignments to help us hold these higher trajectories in place. Because when we're dealing with higher level grid work, we're intending, it's really important that we do the grid work, that we place stones down, or we do any of the ley line activations with crystals, etc., like in gamma, in bliss, not talking about problems there. We don't want to like put an anchor down and then it keeps us down here. Okay. All right, let's do this. And that's the wormhole, is Orion's belt.
Okay.
Because we've been at all the old stories of the wars, the Star Wars was at Orion's belt. But now that we've transversed that, now that we've come to peace, there's a majority of I would say that those who've been working on this type of consciousness have come to peace with that. There's been a strong call for myself too the last month or so to like really connect with Orion. And we talked about the dome and the King's Chamber for a few weeks here, of making sure that in the King's Chamber walls in the Great Pyramid, all the star constellations are on the walls, and you can see them when you activate higher levels of your consciousness. They all pull out on the walls. But especially the download when we were doing that it's how important it is to connect to Orion, so that we can heal within our body map and allow ourselves to go beyond that war into like what's beyond this dome is this, like, kind of that wormhole is Orion's belt, to get to a higher trajectory or a higher plane of existence beyond the typical dome we've been studying for a long time here, especially in astrology.
Well, then I'm like, how does Orion connect with Venus? Because that Venus was very much coming up. So I don't quite know, but I'm just thinking, well, I feel like Orion with all that war history, and then Venus is like the planet of love. So
it's the yin and yang.
The yin and yang, yeah.
And maybe like a lot of us, I know I spent time in Orion and Venus before here, and so maybe it's, I don't know, like bringing that love back to that constellation or something.
Well, it's a Stargate, right? Yeah. So we're getting through. That was a major Stargate, which is why all the wars were going on there, because we wanted to actually get beyond this lower experience. So it's a literal access way that was being heavily guarded, and now that's like apparently no longer, if we're looking at time, beyond time and omnipresence, there's none of this I'm talking about. But in the stories of the Akash, of the memorized material, not only for our individual typical things we're talking about pre-7 years old, even though, well, let me finish that sentence. Typically for the mass mind, the collective, they're dealing with this very deep Akashic wound, or a wound held in the Akashic field that's keeping the so-called this plane in slavery, people totally unconscious to who they are, and then all the history that gets wiped through time of different leaders. You know, we could talk about, but the most recent one was, this has been happening again and again, but when you know who you truly are, like it can't bind you. Nothing can bind you like that. The full memory comes back online because it's your eternal consciousness. Anyways, coming back to this Orion, now that it's no longer being heavily guarded, we just are working through. That's what that exercise we just did today, right? So it's all the pieces are coming together. And then we don't get bound by these so-called slavery walls, because you know who you are, and you know that you're literally in control of the field. You can reoccupy anything going on and make it work in your favor by simply knowing that it's programmable. And when we go beyond time, it's like another parallel life that could be through that wormhole, right? Because we think we're going back in time when it's kind of like, you know, the snake chasing its tail.
I see.
Yep, the night before.
So that was a light code.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And we did. We went through a lot of the suns, you know, and we were purposely going through a wormhole to get to the next place, which is awesome. And we're purposely on mission to do more grids to hold that in place. Like, it's just so fun. Now we're having fun. No longer bored. So where's the next one? In Tampa?
Mm-hmm.
I still think we should need to do one at Honeymoon Island.
Yeah.